The ministers approved the principles of our EU renewed approach to Sahel. The focus is on political and diplomatic engagement, human security, as well as economic opportunities. The aim is to prevent further conflict, tackle root causes of migration, and counter organized crime. In Sudan, the situation is deteriorating sharply. The capture of El Fasher by the Rapid Support Forces opened another devastating chapter in this war. The conflict has brought thousands of deaths and immense suffering. Today we adopted sanctions against Abdelrahim Dagalo, the RSF's second in command. And this sends a signal that the international community will come after those who are responsible. All 27 EU member states today called on the parties to resume negotiations for a ceasefire. And finally, on Western Balkans, we had the dinner yesterday with the Western Balkan ministers, and we discussed common challenges and how to work even more closely together on security and foreign policy issues. The closer we get to the enlargement, the more we need to stick together and defend our democracies against hybrid attacks and foreign interference. And with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Jorge.
Hello, Jorge Liboreiro with Euronews. High Representative, I think today we all have a strong sense of deja vu, no? Because this story, we have seen it before. The United States and Russia, they work on a plan behind everybody's backs. The plan is unacceptable to Ukraine. Europeans are angry. They demand a seat at the table. The media writes that Europe is being sidelined. I mean, you know how that goes. And it's a problem for you, at least for your public perception. What exactly can you do to change this, to ensure that this doesn't happen again? Because the stakes at play here are enormous for you, for the European Union. So what do you think you need? You need a new strategy, new approach, new channel of communication? What do you need to do to ensure this doesn't happen and you really have a seat at the table? Thank you.
Well, ministers in the room were quite, solid and I would say calm about this, because we have seen this before, and because different peace plans cannot work if the Europeans and Ukrainians do not agree to this. So that's why we focus today's discussions on what are we doing and what is our course of action. Like I said, we have a two-point plan. One is to pressure Russia, and today we discussed very intensively how to work on the shadow fleet, because we also had the head of intelligence, European intelligence, in our meeting, giving concrete examples and numbers how the sanctions on shadow fleet are really affecting Russian revenues to fund this war. And this is our approach, and that's why we focused on our approach. For any peace plan to work, it needs Ukrainians and Europeans to agree.
Thank you. Gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Alex Caddy for TVP World. I wanted to ask about the shadow fleet, first of all. When do you expect there will be concrete changes in the European powers' ability to actually impact these ships and actually make the difference you want to see? A second question on the Polish rail incident. You mentioned yesterday the example of Baltic Sentry, and you said we need something similar here. I didn't have a follow-up then, so I have a follow-up now. Could I ask you, are you planning a broader response to protect critical infrastructure like that Polish rail incident, which the Polish Foreign Minister just said was designed to injure, if not kill people? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. First of all, on your first question, we already have a huge impact by this shadow fleet sanctions on Russian oil revenues, and they are using the oil revenues to fund the war. I mean, today we had the head of intelligence really showing in numbers what kind of effect it has. I mean, I just bring you one number. When we started with the shadow fleet, the first week, the effect, the revenue from oil dropped via the Baltic Sea and the Black Sea 30%, and what we see, they are at the all-time lowest, but clearly we need to do more. It's not enough, but it clearly works. So I want to reiterate that. Now, on the protection and infrastructure, it's clear that infrastructure under the sea or the trains or all the infrastructure that we have, it requires a lot of effort to protect it along the way. So what are we doing? We are, of course, proposing new sanctions, but we also, share the best practices how to tackle the online recruitment. Because today we discussed also this. Who are those who are committing this? These are usually petty criminals that are bought off, to do these sabotage acts on behalf of others, and to really tackle that. And that is a national competence. But because some countries have more experience with that than the others, then to share the best practices and to really be vocal about this, that all these petty criminals cannot get away with this. If there are, I will not bring you all the examples that I have in my mind to save time, but clearly we can tackle this if we go via the online recruitment and how they work with those people who are actually committing the crimes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Tatiana Vysotska, European Pravda, Ukraine. I want to come back to Ukraine. I know that today you were discussing the financing of Ukraine for the next 2 years, for 26-27. What is the main, the preferable for you option of financing of Ukraine? We know that there are 3 options according to the options paper presented by commissions. And what is the situation with